Ted Bundy has become a household name, notorious for the 30-plus murders he committed, including the bludgeoning of 4 members of the Chi Omega sorority at Florida State University, 2 of which died from their injuries. With these being the crimes that led to his incarceration and eventual execution, the Chi Omega attacks had a very powerful impact, not least on Carol Cristiano, an Austinite and Florida State alum who was located just a block away in the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority house the night the attacks occurred. Bundy wasn't always well known, however, despite his criminal past, and Cristiano hadn't even heard of him until he wreaked havoc upon her college town.
I think he had either escaped from prison, and there may have been something in the news, but in college you don't really watch the news or read newspapers.
In the early hours of January 15, 1978, Bundy entered the Chi Omega sorority house thanks to a faulty lock on the back door, and beginning around 2:45 a.m., proceeded to brutally assault 4 girls, killing 2. Cristiano, out and about at just around the same time, may very well have saved the girls of her sorority from the same fate.
I had been at a fraternity party and came back to my sorority house around 2 a.m. or so with one of my friends, and we walked in the house, and usually the door would slam shut and lock, but I noticed that when it slammed, it didn't seem to close all the way and lock. So I went back and I pushed the door closed to make sure that it locked, and then I went upstairs and went to sleep.
Cristiano was none the wiser about the attacks that occurred a mere 45 minutes later and just a block away, or that her instincts may very well have saved the lives of her sleeping sisters.
Sometime around, I think, 4 or 5 in the morning, our house mother came into all of our rooms, and she did a head count, and I was really sleepy, so I didn't know. She explained at that point in time why she was doing the head count, but I just yeah, I'm here, and went back to sleep.
It wasn't until the following morning that Cristiano learned of the attacks.
Next day when I got up, everybody at breakfast was talking about something, and I'm like, what happened? And that's when I found out that somebody had come had broken into the Chi Omega house, and several girls were, beaten up, and I think there were a couple of attacks on other girls that lived in little rental houses nearby as well.
To make this story even crazier, Cristiano would soon find out that there may have even been a threat to the Zetas after the Chi Omega attack, and just how detrimental to their safety double-checking the lock was.
The police were interviewing people and, trying to figure out, who had done this. And one of the frat boys across the street from my sorority house had been going on a fishing trip. So he was, awake and waiting for somebody to come pick him up around 5 in the morning. And he told the police that he could have swore that he saw somebody run up into our sorority house yard, and hide behind a big bush.
The aftermath of the attacks left behind a palpable wave of fear at Florida State, especially among Greek life.
In our sorority house, we stayed up until all hours of the night. Every night we'd just stay up waiting. We'd sit on the stairs, waiting for somebody to come and try and break into the sorority house.
In fact, all of Greek life banded together in this time of crisis until they were absolutely certain that there were no more threats to the safety of the sorority girls.
Also, we had a lot of fraternity boys volunteered to sleep in the house, sleep downstairs, and, just basically protect all the females who were alone in a house. So, it was pretty scary, that whole month or 6 weeks before he was caught.
The effects of the attacks that hit just a little too close to home have been lasting ones, and the lessons that Cristiano learned from this close encounter have carried over into her new life, 870 miles away and 34 years later.
I'm very cautious about going out by myself at night. Also make sure that, the doors in my house are always locked, and, everything is that, that no one could possibly just walk in and do something like that.
Cristiano will always be left to wonder if simply giving the door another nudge saved her and her sorority sisters from a lethal man who rented a room just a block away, and if when they sat on the steps outside their house on a nice afternoon, They said hi to the seemingly ordinary man walking by who would one day soon bring so much pain to the Greek system of Florida State University.